Computer. You're on.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is the Week 10 recap of the Sooner Nation Fantasy Football League. Here with my buddy Jason. I'm Aaron. Got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. Jason, there's only 4 games left in the regular season. We have one more game of regular games, and then back to division play. We play our division people one more time each, and then it's over. It's over for some of us. Uh,
Oh my good. Yeah, I start getting sad for sure once the week hits double digits.
yeah.
The last time this week's the last time we play a team that we haven't played in the league so far.
Mm.
And well, but you know what lives on forever is rewatching these YouTube shows.
Won't these be a treat to go back and look at?
Yes.
Speaking of going back to looking at things,
Oh.
man, that pro level transitions. Chris defeats Brandon 106-65. We talked last week about how hot Dak Prescott has been over the last month, and he just followed it up with 69 points.
Gosh.
13 more than last week, which was his previous season high. So now his new season high, 69. Arrow is just pointing up for Dak.
Nice.
Pretty favorable schedule, too, the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Jacobs was his dependable self. The rest of the lineup pretty underwhelming. I mean, look at those receivers. Brandon's got to be pulling his hair out at quarterback.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence had some big games last season. This season he's way below that level he was playing, and I don't get it. He should be better. This was the second year in this system. You think he'd be more comfortable. Etienne's been running well. You think he'd be like pulling defensive attention away. And then they brought in Calvin Ridley. Like he was supposed to be the AJ Brown. He was supposed to take him to the next level, and Lawrence is less productive. So I don't know what to make of it. And then Aaron Jones has been disappointing too. I feel like for Brandon, did you swindle Brandon?
No, because I think I picked maybe Quentin Johnston or somebody who didn't matter with one of those picks. But hey, I did take that note of Trevor Lawrence very seriously because I looked through. He hasn't topped 37 points. His high this season is 36.6 at Buffalo. And he's got to be feeling like if it were me, I'd probably would be reaching towards someone with maybe 2 top 5 quarterbacks.
Like Jay.
Yeah, someone like Jay to maybe see he's already gotten rid of Tyreek. If he's going future, maybe he needs to get a quarterback of the future and offer up CMC to a team that maybe have 2 young studs to really solidify for the future. But man, it's he's I don't know. Brandon did send me some data and research he had done.
Good.
And it's the kind of stuff that he went through and figured out who has had losses to quarterbacks playing against him who've scored 50 or more points, which I thought was really interesting. Now, he did say, I would have lost to anybody this week. He said he did admit this is a tough week, but he has played against 4 teams that have quarterbacks that have scored 50 or more points. In week 3, 4, 8, and 10, Brandon played against Herbert, Allen, Hurts, and Prescott, all scored more than 54 points. Combined, the rest of the league has played against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 total teams have played against a 50-plus point scorer, and the most is Shane and John that have played against 2. So he's double having played against. He has had schedule disluck. But the interesting thing, there are a bunch of teams at 4 and 6. We're going to get there in a little bit, but Brandon can make the playoffs. Still significant hope. In fact, there's a chance
your quarterback is. Go ahead.
There's a chance he goes 8-6. I mean, he can win the next 4 games. So, especially if he makes a trade for, I don't know, someone with a quarterback with initials. I don't know.
Yeah, but then without those McCaffrey points, what's he going to do?
It's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Chris's big wide receiver trade? Major shakeup. Oh, we can go back. Yeah, whatever. Sorry.
Right.
We. I I thought it was real interesting. He trades away DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, and Romeo Dobbs and turns them into Calvin Ridley and Amari Cooper. It's probably an upgrade, but I don't love any of those guys, really. I can see why Chris was frustrated with DJ Moore and Deontay and fed up and ready to move on, but I don't think it's going to be any better with his new guys. What did you have an opinion on any of these trades?
No, I didn't. I thought they were just kind of menial players for menial players. I didn't think there was very many blue chippers involved.
Yeah.
Although moving on from DJ Moore was interesting because he did have that 1 week that was a week winner. And I don't know. Calvin, you're going back to Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, after that first week, you really thought like, oh man, this is going to be the guy this year. And he's just kind of fallen off a cliff. Mahoney, I'd have to go back and do the research, but when was the last time he sat at 6-4 after 10 weeks? It's been a Disneyland fairy tale season for Dak Prescott and Mahoney.
And even if I'm lukewarm on the trade, I love people being aggressive. I like him looking at that record and thinking like, let's go, let's do it. Let's try to be a little better. Let's win this thing.
Yeah, that's
so in that sense, I love it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. He's got to be feeling good because when the quarterback of your favorite team continues to score 50+ points, it's got to feel great. You just got to wake up and just feel like I am the king of the castle. I mean, just feeling like Dak Prescott.
You do one of those heel clicks, like you jump and you click your heels to the side. You just woohoo.
I mean, 400 yards and 5 TDs. It's rare air. We looked last week at these incredible quarterback performances, and they started at 69.5 points. He's just off that on the historic record for that PowerPoint sheet to win 1 week. His Dak Prescott beats Brandon's entire team. He could have benched the rest of his team and still beat Brandon. So he's got to be feeling great.
That's tough. Yeah. Okay. Now we can move on to the.
Sorry, a little bit early, but a good week for Ashton Circle.
Yeah, they're really. There we go. Yeah. Jeremy had the 5th highest score of the season this week, the highest of the week.
Yeah.
In fact, the dude also holds the high score of the season with 159 that he put on the fair season week 3. So Jeremy Carr at 4 and 6, but he's got the number 1 and number 5 highest scores of the season. So he can be a guy that can just step up at any moment and just ruin your week.
Yes. 150 points at the quarterback that hardly topped 30.
Right. Yeah. Look at that balance. Like it is not many games you're going to win when the skill guys get 5 touchdowns. Look up and down the lineup, no duds. What must that feel like? To not have a single guy in your team poop the bed? Like, I can't imagine. That's just a long forgotten echo of a memory. I need that Harry Potter wand thing where they suck I got to do that to remember what this feels like. Like playing against David Montgomery. That's like when you're a new parent and you're like, hey, we're going to go out to dinner. And like, you just know at some point in the meal, probably right around the time your food arrives, that baby is just going to start shrieking or pooping or puking or running around. It's inevitable. And the meal is just ruined. And that's David Montgomery. Just know, like they start the game. He's like carry after carry after carry. And even with Jahmyr Gibbs exploding, like you just know he's going to score. And sure enough, there he goes.
Yeah.
That game was excruciating because he had Montgomery on one side and then he had Keenan Allen, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns on the other.
Yeah, that couldn't have feel good to watch. Because the game was amazing, 41-38. It was like an old Big 12 shootout, in the college ranks. It was looked incredible. Had to be remarkably frustrating to watch. Probably had to turn the TV off. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was feeling like, oh man, I'm doing all right this week. Like,
110 points beats a lot of teams this week and a lot of teams every week. So
yeah, just not the right week.
Man, I know that it wouldn't have made a difference, but that when Tyler Boyd dropped that game-winning touchdown in the in the end zone, it just had to feel like it had to not feel great when that happened because it looked like the Bengals came back and won that game.
Well, and I root for the Bengals, and when we bring up Survivor contest later, there was extra incentive to root for that catch. So it was triple disappointing for me when that failed.
Yeah.
because I want the Bengals in the playoffs. I want the Cobras in the playoffs, and I wanted to keep playing Survivor. Spoiler alert.
Well, we'll have to maybe crown a champion a little bit. So let's continue. I just thought every once in a while is there anything that you'd like to say about your team name change? Perhaps letting someone who's not been in the league for, I think Brandon's a newbie in the league and he's been in for like 10, 12 years. But
Brandon knows all about Brad.
Okay.
Ashen Circle, Brad Moore's original team name. It was definitely one of his. I could just as easily be a Monkley Dunn right now.
Yeah.
This team has lost the honor of being called the Cobras for the time being until they get their act together, start stacking touchdowns, start stacking wins. They can operate under a moniker more commensurate to their status.
Okay, great.
As Jeff Logan can tell you, this is a classic hind tit situation, and we are the weakest pup right now.
Putting your team on notice. Looking forward to see how they perform this upcoming week.
Yeah.
Speaking of performances that were pretty good, and my goodness, look at Josh continue to roll. Look at his wide receivers. Hit it, Aaron.
Imagine just for a minute if real NFL teams, instead of firing a coach, just change the name. Just to you guys.
It's a great idea.
We've seen a couple coaches fired just this week, and just imagine instead the Bills they're just the turds for a week. Buffalo. Okay. Josh takes down Chad 135-83. Kind of scary. The week that Etienne gets shut down, the Ghosts still put up 135, second highest score of the week.
Yeah.
135 points with no Tyreek and no Tua.
And 0 points from his defense.
Yeah. That's Amon-Ra just remains uncoverable. He's consistent. He's always open. Yeah. And he's the third best receiver on the Dr. Weiss's team. Yeah. CeeDee Lamb has 617 yards in the last 4 games. He's averaging 154 yards over those. First player in NFL history with 3 games over 150 yards and 10 receptions in each one. Nobody's ever done it.
Crazy. That's crazy.
CeeDee Lamb. Yeah. Rompers have lost 3 in a row. Have not broken 95 points since Jefferson went down, and that was week 4. Chad has not broken 95 points since week 4. Just like his musical taste, Chad is stuck in the 80s. Heineke got hurt, so that score should be higher, but it wouldn't have mattered. Mark Andrews isn't going to have to play Cleveland again, so that score should rebound. Cortland Sutton on the Rompers bench. I don't know if you saw the touchdown catch he had.
Yeah, incredible.
That play was breathtaking. The way Russell is extending, and then just heaves it, and you can't see where it's going. So you're like, that's going to be in the sidelines. That's going into the stands. No, it's tiptoes of Sutton. Oh, it was pretty.
That was incredible. I couldn't believe it was a touchdown. I was like, oh, that's not a touchdown. They're going to just waste it.
Yeah, take that away.
It was amazing. Yeah. Also, good. I think that Madison got hurt with a concussion as well. The Rompers did change their name logo back from the handicapped placard, but may need to go back to it because it looks like he's just had a terrible year. He may have to end up trading Justin Jefferson for an elite quarterback, maybe a top 5 quarterback on a team that might have 2. Something to think about.
Become an infomercial this week.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at this. Jason defeats Shane 98.8, 98.3. Man. Yeah. Monday Night Football. The Sweat Sox are down. They've got Josh Allen. They're facing the Karate Kids. You've got a small lead and Allen's favorite target, Steph Diggs. What was your night like?
I mean, well, I don't know how you follow a game. I follow it play by play. I monitor it as close as I can. If you wanted to see essentially how I look at how I take constant screenshots of where I stand. If I could have one thing to change from the whole website, it would be I would get rid of the little percentages of percent chance to win because I don't know
out, man.
I don't believe them at all, but I follow them. I'm like, oh, and I just what do the algorithms think? This algorithm had to be made by somebody's nephew or something. It is just it is not believable. I have screenshots throughout the night. I was a nervous wreck, and I was doing the math. I knew I was ahead by, after the last like little drive by Josh Allen, I knew I was ahead by 7.1 points. And when they crossed the 10-yard line, I thought to myself, a run or a pass, I'm still ahead by now 0.5. And they took a timeout and he ran it in. And I was like, yes, because I knew I was going to be ahead by 5 yards. I didn't want him to take a sack and go beyond the 11 or 12-yard line to be able to throw a pass of like 12 yards. It was an excruciating night. I felt like this message board comment by Shane really summed things up. What a dumb game we played, because I scored 98 points. You would have beat me by 14 points, 12, 14 points, yet I still get a victory. My one story that no one's going to want to hear, especially you, is what happened on Saturday. I'd made a commitment to not start a tight end this week. And I thought to myself, I don't need some, third string tight end, the 25th ranked tight end. I don't need those points. I mean, they're going to win or lose. It's not going to make a difference either way. And like late on Saturday morning, I was like, you know what? I'm going to feel bad if I don't start a tight end and I lose by a little bit. So, Irv Smith's been getting a lot of action, a lot of catches. Cincinnati's got a game against Houston. He's going to, Chase is maybe out. Higgins is maybe out. I'll go with Irv Smith, who has the most targets of any tight end in Cincinnati. Surely I'll get a ton of points and take me over the top. And I get 0.6 points from Irv Smith Jr. with one catch, and I won by 0.5 points. I mean, it was one of those moments I was just like, it can't make a difference. And yet I somehow picked the tight end that made the absolute difference. So you had to hate that story. You had to hate that story. But it was late Saturday morning when I was like, oh, that's too arrogant. I got to start somebody at that position. So I'll just pick up somebody random and put him in there.
You know how fun it would have been if you lost by 0.1 or whatever it is?
Yes, I would have lost by 0.1.
You didn't start a tight end?
I would have lost by 0.1.
You've robbed us of some real joy. To have a little joy.
I've been waiting. I text you oftentimes throughout all the games and throughout the week. I've been waiting to tell that story on the pod because I knew you would hate it. I knew you would absolutely hate that story. So 7-3, the Karate Kid survives. What a crazy game it was, Shane. So dumb.
I've got more.
Sorry.
I was rooting for you to lose, but only just barely. So then you would have won if you'd stuck with Justin Herbert. That was the thing I was rooting for. Yeah. I wanted you to have that Herbert regret. So how does Denver give up 70 points to the Dolphins? And then just utterly befuddled by the Bills. And then the Bills whip the Dolphins.
It's wild. I think it's that losing by 70 points was the greatest thing ever to happen to the Broncos. I mean, getting
them up.
I mean, it's something that I don't know what the comparison is into it in life or in sports, but they got so thoroughly embarrassed that everyone just has been piling on them for the last 6 weeks. And they just have said, we're not that team.
Too much pride. Yeah. And they just show it. Yeah. Last thing I wanted on this one, I got to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, he has been tearing it up since the Hellhounds traded him away. And it reminds me of LaDainian Tomlinson's rookie year. It was 2001, so it's a year before the league archives kick in. So I'm trying to do this off memory, and I texted John, but he didn't give me much. But I think Chris, maybe, somebody had Tomlinson. They drafted him as a rookie. He was like number 5 pick. He was a real high pick. But he gets off to a slow start. And then somebody got impatient and traded him to Mendenhall for Anthony Thomas. Now, Anthony Thomas was fine. Like, he was cool enough to have a nickname, the A-Train. But, Tomlinson's in that all-time Mount Rushmore conversation. I'm getting those vibes the way Jahmyr Gibbs was just tossed around.
That's an incredible comparison. He's been on 3 teams in 9 weeks.
Yeah. And if you take it a step further, I had the draft pick that would have been him, and I traded it away to get Chase.
Oh.
So I mean, I could have, he was the pick. He was going to be the number 2 pick, whoever had number 2 pick.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah, the rights to him is on 4 different teams in 9 weeks. And because he's the future of the Detroit Lions, Shane will have him for the rest of his career.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck getting him now, guys.
Yeah. He is a sock. He is a sock for life. So I was glad that he didn't get as many touches in the second half in this one. So anything else on this?
No, that's all right. We can go ahead.
Yeah. We have 2 games of the week, as you remember, which is good because it may be a little bit of a foreshadowing for this week. But the game of the week brought to you by all of Travis Kelce's commercials was, of course, the Mahomes-less. Oh, I did that wrong. This is the game of the week.
Yes.
Okay. The Mahomes-less Rhinos versus the now 9-1 Vipers. So thanks to Travis Kelce and all of his sponsors for sponsoring Game of the Week 1 in week 9.
Yeah. It lived up to the billing too. Like, the battle of the backup quarterbacks and the Vipers take it. Sam Howell has been slinging it, 48.9, almost made it into that Brandon 50-point quarterback list. He's a warrior, man. Howell, he just hangs in there, gets the crap kicked out of him week after week. Like, I don't expect Jay to bench Jalen Hurts for him, but it's not crazy. And I think it's easy to say Sam Howell is by far the best quarterback out of that trash class from last year. I mean, just doo-doo knee deep the rest of the way. Hawkinson, Jay spent a real high draft pick on him, continues to pay off. Mixon's got a touchdown 3 weeks in a row. He doesn't look great when I watch him run, but man, he's getting the goal line opportunities. The Derrick Henry stat line just makes me sad. I think it's a fluky floor game, but it is alarming.
Yeah.
Jeff almost got there. Baker Mayfield has close to this exact score every week, which I didn't realize was also the Trevor Lawrence stat line until I was reading about that earlier. Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, essentially the same guy this season. That's all I'm saying. I think Eckler back to the deadly ways. Just the rest of Jeff's guys, just decent yards, no touchdowns. Browns continue to be such an advantage. We don't see Najee Harris on here, but he's been good 3 out of the last 4 weeks. I know Jeff's been frustrated with him, but do you think he's done enough to get back in Jeff's lineup?
Oh, I think so for sure. Especially Thielen had that nice little middle of the year pop. But Najee's looking great. My note on Sam Howell and Jay's team that I had was we've got a 9-1, obviously looking like the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. And now he's got an incredible backup with Hurts. Looks like Hurts does not look like himself. Maybe the bye week gets him right, but he does not look 100% healthy. And now Jay's got this gunslinger behind him just in case he needs him for the playoff run. He just, what a team. I mean, Jay just looks incredible. And you didn't mention Tank Dell, who just is a dream come true for a rookie wide receiver to get this passage from CJ. So,
what a pair.
Yeah, it's just what a time to be a Texans fan. But my goodness, it was interesting. This is the backup matchup play of the week. It's a great game, and but not quite as good as our ultimate game of the week. Ultimate game of the week brought to you, of course, by Slippery When Wet, the true, authentic Bon Jovi cover band, and as well the John Bovey opposite band of Bon Jovi for the title of True John and False John. Break down the game of the week number 2 in week 9.
Yeah, this is another one. Monday Night Football was awesome.
Yeah,
like coming into the game, the Hellhounds just needed a single point from Buffalo kicker Tyler Bass, and I mean, spoiler, you can see that he got 2, but there's a penalty after the Dalton Kincaid touchdown. And so the Bills get moved up to get way up for the extra point. So they're like, let's just go for it. So touchdown, no kicker. So it was like halfway through the third quarter before Latavius Murray busted in that other touchdown to get the Hellhounds the point they needed for the win. It was some drama for the right to be True John. 47 points. It was the Brock Purdy show for the Hounds. Really just Purdy and Olave doing the heavy lifting there. Olave touchdown the last two weeks. He's definitely benefiting from Jameis Winston being out there.
Yep.
Did not like him with Carr, but man, he's thriving now. Saquon, like you just hope it's the Dallas matchup perfectly with the Giants, and that he's going to be back to Saquoning people. Pharisees with a well-rounded team effort here, just a much better team effort than the Hellhounds brought, but Lamar is almost doubled by Brock. In a game this close, quarterback discrepancy like that, like too much to overcome. 3 games in a row in the 20s for Lamar Jackson. And the Ravens won 2 of those games. So just not in ways that meant for points for Lamar. So the team's working, but he's not working for fantasy. Bijan finally got a healthy workload. That's got to be feel good for John.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you see here?
Well, my goodness, that Cleveland-Baltimore game was just bizarre and amazing. 2 fun teams to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like rooting for Cleveland, obviously, because of Deshaun Watson and Kareem Hunt, but that defense is just magic to watch. I could watch Baltimore's offense versus Cleveland's defense just pretty much constantly and be happy.
Yeah, it's
awesome. If I were John, I'd be happy with 20 rushes from Mahandre and 22 rushes from Bijan. When I look at the game that ends within, within a couple points, oftentimes I look at turnovers, and you have the 2 interceptions by Lamar Jackson, and you have a clean slate by the Hellhounds. I like that we have penalized for interceptions, and that was the difference. But man, Deebo Samuel back has to make John feel good.
Definitely, what a weapon.
I mean, John's sitting right there. It would be hard. I have not talked to John. I'm not going to talk to him on a Monday. I'm going to wait till Wednesday probably to talk to him after a loss like this, and hopefully he'll forget that it's happened again. He doesn't want the show, but I hope the best for him. But man, this was the game of the week, dog as it was. It was a game.
Yeah.
It was a game of the week, but it sure was a dog. So
dog fight, yeah, for sure.
Let's hit our divisional standings. We've got 3 teams that are kind of somewhat pulling away, although the eruption division in the center there, you've got 2 teams at 6-4. And then you can see all the teams with 4 wins. There's a possibility that some of those teams, obviously will make the playoffs with an 8-team playoff that we have. We have our overall standings right here. Jay's at the top. But I'm not sure what his schedule looks like. I haven't analyzed his schedule. We've got 2 teams at the very bottom. The point standings, the Ghosts actually lead now, the league in points. 33 points ahead of Jay and 50 points ahead of me. You can see how tightly bunched we are there with our point totals. I like looking at the point standings because I like on the show we'll name a points champion. I always like looking back to see who scored the most points in the regular season. Pick'em contest. You break this down for us.
I didn't prepare anything here. No, they made up some ground, right? I had a 2-game lead, I think.
You had a 2-game lead. Josh had a great week.
Yeah, Josh making up ground. Where are you? You're falling. Look at that, 5 back now. What happened?
5 back. I don't know. I'm not sure. I try my best. I am not trying to lose games here. I am just every time I see this, I think to myself, I'm so glad I don't bet, because there's so many times that I never would have picked Denver to beat the Bills last night.
Nobody would.
There's so many times when I feel like every single one of us picks a team and they lose, and I just think to myself, I am so glad the Nazarene Church is not high on gambling, because my goodness, I mean, when Cleveland came back, I thought Baltimore had the game in hand the entire game, including at the end. And then when Cleveland's kicker misses the extra point, I'm like, oh, it's over. Baltimore just gonna run this game out, and somehow they come back to it. There's so many games that I just are so perplexing to me. And these are not against the spread, Aaron. These are just straight up. It's like, who's gonna win? And I'm just still not that good. So just glad that I don't do this for a living, and there's too many surprises.
Something you are good at, evidently. Much to our chagrin.
Man, when Cincinnati. So I had a big event Sunday night, and I most of my game information is coming from catching bits and pieces on Sunday. But mostly it's just watching Sports Center on late Sunday night. I hosted at our church a Family Feud game show that was an incredible delight and a joy to be a part of. But I was my whole weekend getting ready for it and weeks leading up to it. It was a really fun event. And I usually check early who takes who, but you're the one who texted me. Josh and I picked Cincy, and I saw CJ Stroud come back with that win. But I didn't know that you guys both had Cincy.
Didn't know the significance of and you knew you had Dallas.
Yeah, I knew I had Dallas against the Giants, so I wasn't worried at all because the Giants seem to be like the new Carolina right now with Tommy DeVito as their quarterback. Looks like they're gunning for Caleb Williams, who looked great against the Ducks on Saturday night. He just looks special. I know people from Oklahoma don't like him because of where he went to school after going to Oklahoma, but he looks like he's going to be so special in the NFL. He looks like
he's
Mahomes
a good kid. He was led astray by the devil. It's okay.
So
he's a child. You can't blame a child. Look at that.
We crowned a champion of our Survivor contest. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to see how many weeks I can go. My guess is that I will lose this week. My guess is that I'll just lose this week because after 10 weeks, the options get less and less. Let's continue with our best ball recap. The 7-3 Don't Call Me Collins only scored 70 points in a best ball league. Felt like that was of note. He is tied for the best record. I did notice that one of our teams, I believe it's Chad, is without any kicker. Is now we'll start the rest of the season with no kickers. I, of course, down to only Noah Fant as my tight end. I drafted 5 quarterbacks. I'm down to 3, 2 of whom are awful. So it's an interesting league. I've really enjoyed it. We had a team this week, though, capture the top spot, the best ball league. Tell us about it, Aaron.
Yes. Well, so proud of our starting quarterback. He's a guy you just love to root for. You love to cheer for.
Maybe this is the tie. I didn't know you had Deshaun. Maybe the Deshaun Watson stink has wafted through the best ball league onto Ashton Circle.
No, see, we're trying to rehabilitate him. He's not our starter. Patrick Mahomes is our starter. We brought him along to just try to help him to stop touching those massage ladies and just concentrate on football. Really benefiting here from the Keenan Allen game, which killed me in the other league, but at least I got a little bit out of it here. And David Montgomery. So all these guys that were killing me in one league, I guess, helping me in the other. So it's it's like full circle. It's a circle of life.
Congrats on the weekly win. Of course, in this league, the having high points gives you more than just a victory.
Yeah.
Gives you a little bit more points right there. And our overall standings are here. You and I and Josh there at the top. And the breakdown, last week we asked how it worked. And so Josh answered on the message board, letting us know that there are 4 teams make the playoffs, with 2 division leaders automatically making it. The other 2 are the top 2 scoring teams. And so seeding is based upon the standings head-to-head for the 2 weeks of the playoffs. So right now, pretty tight race for the rest of the season. Yeah. It'll depend on who can stay healthy. I know that Josh is down to 1 QB, Jared Goff. So just really interesting. Goff looks fantastic, by the way. So Lions are super fun. And then we wanted to celebrate. We wanted to celebrate this picture. Do you remember what? I believe they're at a local restaurant on Sunday afternoon, and the Lord guides them together. It seems like it every once in a while to just happen to be together. So two league mates getting together. We want to celebrate that.
They met up for cheeseburgers at the Red Dog Cafe. They had a nice afternoon together. Left the families at home. They had a great time from all accounts. That's what I heard anyway.
Was Brett there? Was Brett
maybe that's where they met there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Good. He's the one. He took the picture. He was holding the camera.
Well, speaking
and Shane's selling how many beers he wants to start with.
Well, speaking of getting together and celebrating that, we have an announcement to make. Aaron and I have an announcement to make. We want the league to know that there's an upcoming event. We have on December 5th at 1 p.m. our all-league mid-season luncheon. And Live
Was I
pod
supposed to say it?
recording.
We didn't work that part out.
No. It's been new. This is new. So yes, we will be having lunch together at 1:00. The place that we are temporary, our location that we're thinking about is Johnny's Charcoal Broiler in the private room off of Northwest Expressway, and then we'll eat together at 1:00 and have our pod recording breaking down the week right after that, about 1:45 to 2:00. Was when we'll start that pod recording. Would love to have a live studio audience for the first ever on the road pod show. December 5th, 1:00, mark it down, mid-season luncheon. And there's a reason we chose this date. Why is that, Aaron?
Well, the trade deadline is December 9th. So this is going to be your last chance. Maybe work some deals out over a cheeseburger or a Frankfurter, and then sit back and join in the fun while we do this magic.
Yes. If you would like to bring a take, if you would like to boo the host, could be great. Could be a disaster. No one could hear, but we're willing to taste. That's the kind of risks we're willing to take on this show.
Yeah. We for the people. Paying is for the people.
So for our teachers, this is enough advance for you to go ahead and ask for that day off that you can't make it.
That's a good reason to miss school.
Yeah. Just cut school about 12:30, come to the live, just get us up for the last 2 periods and come to the show. So we'll look forward to seeing all of our teachers and anybody who can make it beyond those teachers. So let's look forward to the Week 10 preview. Aaron, hit it.
Yeah, we got Chris versus John starting things off. Mahoney, winner of 6-4, winner of 3 in a row, 5 of his last 6. Pharisees are 2-8. Both wins coming in the last 4 games, though. So he's trending up a little bit. You gotta like Dak over Lamar. We've documented both of those guys already. I like Brandon Jacobs over all of False John's running backs, unless the Dolphins just get way out ahead of Vegas. Maybe take Jacobs out of the game. I don't have any confidence in Chris's wide receivers, despite all the moves he just made. I think the Pharisees have the edge there, especially before Debo gets hurt. I like Kmet over Otten. I really hope neither team changes their defenses because I love that they're going against each other in real life.
Me too.
Give me Mahoney.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotta ride with Dak. I think John's team is as much a superior team, especially if Connor can get going once Kyler's back. Ford hit triple digits this last week. I think that he's a really balanced team. But
Ford looks good.
He does. Yeah. But a top-heavy Mahoney, Dak's playing against Carolina. And as a Tony Pollard owner, I know that once Dak gets up, they don't stop throwing. They don't just turn the ball up to the running backs. They just keep chucking the ball up 30, 40 points. They just keep chucking the ball. I think the Dallas Cowboys, and this is not new, I heard this on a podcast somewhere, they're just the bullies. The Cowboys are bullies. They just beat up on bad teams. They struggle potentially against, maybe Kansas City or the Eagles, but if they play a bad team, they are going to beat them up. And that's
curb stomp.
Yeah, that's what I think Mahoney's going to do this week to the Pharisees. So, okay.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Aaron, loser 2-8, loser of 5 in a row. Coach Bond, 9-1. He's already clinched the division with the best record in the league. Has not lost since September.
Wow.
Cobras, the Ashton Circles have outscored the Vipers 3 times of the last 5 weeks. So a Viper win is no gimme here, although it seems really likely. The Ravens defense is tough. Burrow's facing them on a short week, probably no Higgins, gimpy Jamar Chase. Like, my hope is that Ravens game was just so brutal that that Browns Ravens game, none of the Ravens are ready to go back out there. Like, they're still like, it's Thursday and I'm still beat to heck. Like, still going to be tough for Burrow to outplay Jalen Hurts versus the Dolphins. What a game, man. What a week. The prime games. Jonathan Taylor's on bye.
Jalen Hurts versus the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a huge game on Monday night. Yeah, both teams coming off a bye.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We don't get the Jonathan Taylor revenge game because he's on bye. I got to give Jay's workhorse running backs the edge over mine. I think wide receivers close. I do like Chase more than any of his guys, but I don't know. Hawkinson gives Jay the edge at tight end, although I love the way Dalton Kincaid's coming on.
Yeah, for real.
He's not on the level of Hawkinson yet. So Vipers for the win.
Yeah, I'm taking J2. Going back to that bully situation, the Cowboys playing Carolina just seems like that's just
Yeah,
the Cowboys schedule is fantastic. I don't know what Jerry Jones did to be able to get this schedule, but it's a
it's
fantastic.
great. Yeah, yeah, through
Uh,
the playoffs, it's great.
and yeah, I'll take J2, but Jalen Hurts, that game is so exciting. There are the Thursday night game and the Monday night game are
Yeah,
so good this week. And I'm kind of a little bummed for you having three of your players and one of the players you're playing against go on Thursday night. We've had some just duds on Thursday night where we don't have. Sometimes the Thursday night games are a little wonky. They end up being like 17-12 or something. And you're just like, there's not as many points. So that's one of the main reasons I'm taking the Vipers is just those Thursday night games. I don't think we get any 38-41 great games. We just kind of get some more like, I feel like I'd like to know the points of how many teams score in the first quarter. I feel like the first quarter is on Thursday night and there's been no points scored or maybe 3 total. So
yeah, I think they're just tired. They're sore. They're tired.
I'd love to get rid of the Thursday game. I'd love to just have him lean into college game on that night and go back to just full slates on Sundays and Monday. So I'm not clamoring for a Thursday night game in my life. We have a couple teams here, but Jeff hadn't changed his lineup, so I went ahead and put his quarterbacks there just because I thought that he may not start Baker if Mahomes is off a bye.
Probably. Yeah. 6-4 Rhinos coming off the loss to the Vipers last week. Riding a 5-game win streak prior to that, though. Jolk and Tolkien, 4-6, riding a 3-game losing streak. Really low scores over the last 2 weeks, too. A 78 and a 65. Just really trending like against what you want to see in the last month before the playoffs. We already talked about Trevor Lawrence, so man, him against Mahomes. The Eagles are a tougher matchup, but you still got to love Mahomes to come out on top there over Lawrence. McCaffrey versus Eckler, like that's a Muhammad Ali, George Foreman kind of a battle there. Like both those guys are hot. They're both going to score touchdowns. Kind of expecting Najee to get in there like we talked about. I think Brandon's got the edge at wide receiver, but he really needs one of those like Christian Kirk combo touchdowns to keep Jeff Stavum away because Jeff's got the edge at tight end, defense, and kicker. I like the Rhinos to keep going.
Yeah, I do too. I'm kind of oftentimes a prisoner of the overreaction. I mean, I have been someone who thought that Lawrence was going to be great this season, but after looking at his stats, he just hasn't given you much. And Mahomes, although it's been an odd year for him, he still, scored 60 points a couple of weeks ago. So
he's still that guy.
Yeah, and I love that potential game at home. Philly has a great up front. I think they're going to have a lot of sacks, but man, Philly's back end is not great, and so that secondary can be gotten. So I just feel like Mahomes is going to lead the Rhinos to another win. I'll also take Jeff to beat Brandon.
Boring.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Yeah. Speaking of great back ends, we've got Josh versus Shane. Ghosts leading their division at 8-2, leading in total points, 3-game win streak. 4-6 Sweat Sox. They're trending the other direction. They've lost 2 in a row. They've lost 5 of their last 6. No, they haven't. They're only 4-6. Yeah, they have. Both of Josh's quarterbacks are terrific. I'd still normally prefer Josh Allen over them, but that matchup with the Jets is tough, and he's coming off a couple stinkers. I'm going to give Weiss the edge at quarterback. Etienne's versus Gibbs, like that's a great matchup. I'm going to call that a wash, but big edge for Josh. It's going to be every week like this. Wide receiver, like what do you?
Oh my gosh!
How do you overcome what he's throwing out? Like we need like an injury. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but that's the only way that this comes back down to earth to make. He's too good. Well, those 3 guys are out there. Josh winning.
Oh yeah. I don't know how I'm ever going to choose against Josh if he's got Tua, ATN, and then Hill, Lamb, Brown. I mean, reminds me of the days Diggs, Cup, and Hopkins, about 5 years ago, which just was like, I don't know how people are going to overcome Josh. And I thought he was Tua dependent. And I kept thinking Tua was going to have another concussion and be out for the rest of his career. But Jared Goff looks so good.
He's Tua insurance right there. He might start Goff anyway.
Yeah, he might. Like, I mean, as far as like, I bet
matchups.
I think Tua has a higher ceiling, but I know that Goff has a higher floor. I mean, Goff's going to get you 42, and one of those touchdowns is to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, that team is
Yeah.
terrifying to look at. And I mean, especially if he starts Goff, the Tyreek floor, that game that he could be like, if the Miami has a tough game, that could potentially kind of ruin a week for the Ghosts. But Goff, I think Goff's floor is 42 right now. It's going to be a great problem for him to have. What a team. I'm going to take him as well. It's got to feel good to have Shane to be able to look at Gibbs and just be like, I've got my future running back. But again, I'm kind of a prisoner of the moment and overreaction. Josh Allen looks, I mean, happened last year with Herbert when Herbert got hurt and just looked bad for the last few weeks.
Not the same.
Josh doesn't look right, and it might just be that shoulder injury that's impacting his turnovers. But we know that they did fire their offensive coordinator, so everything's going to turn around for the Bills. So
that solves it all. Hellhounds winners of 3 in a row, 4 and 6, despite only scoring over 100 once in his last 7 games.
Wow.
Almost 2 months with only 1 game in 100. Dude is also 4 and 6, coming off the high point game of the week. He scored 80 or fewer in 4 of his previous games. 2 crappy teams who've had some recent success. Who's going to keep it going? I don't know. Quarterback feels like a wash. I kind of like Purdy more than Kyler, at least till we see a little more out of Kyler. I don't know what to expect. He did look pretty good, I thought.
He had that one rush that was awesome.
Yeah, I wonder how much Jeremy's looking at Dobbs in that spot. We discussed the inevitability of Dave Montgomery. Javonte Williams is looking better. Like maybe that knee is okay. True John's running backs are just too much, though. You talk about every week scoring. Mostert, and then you got Barkley too. Like that is heavy. Saquon against the depleted Washington front. Can he overcome Tommy DeVito? I don't know. I'd like to see him run the Wildcat with him, but
be great.
I don't know. I think Jeremy's old wide receivers outplay John's hotshot kids, but that's a really fun old guard versus new guard kind of a battle there. Kittle over Ingram for sure. I struggled more on this one than any other game this week, but I'm gonna go True John, but I don't feel good about it.
I'm taking Jeremy Carr. Had it in my notes. I just feel like his skill players. I like what you said about old guard versus new guard. Carr's got those players that a lot of players are going to be drafted later because you've kind of already had them on your team, but are just so solid up and down the board. I'm going to take his ceiling, which is super duper high, as we've seen and as you chronicled in the first part of the show. I'll take the dude abides in this matchup. And I do think he's got a decision to make about quarterback. Dobbs is a magical story. Magical.
So fun.
So tell us about this game.
7-3 Karate Kids coming off the thrilling win versus the Sweat Sox. Under the radar, Danielson has failed to break 100 points for 3 consecutive games. Mr. watches his points very carefully. I'm sure you knew that. 4 and 6 Rompers have lost 3 in a row, 5 of their last 6. Hasn't cracked 100 since Jefferson got hurt. Those are terrible trends. Since week 4, he has not been over 100. Karate Kids can clinch the division with a win here, plus a Jeremy and a Brandon loss. Wild to have potentially 2 divisions locked up with a month still to play. I like both your quarterbacks more than Stafford, especially versus the Seahawks. Their corners are intense. He's going to be doing a lot of dump offs, probably to Kenneth Walker. Big advantage for Jason, for you to have Cooper Kupp catching Stafford's passes. I do like Brian Robinson to outperform your running backs. But RB2, you're going to be ahead there. Well, he's not starting one, but over Hollywood, I guess. Kelsey versus Mandrews, like that is the premier tight end battle for the last few years. It continues through now. I'm going to pick Smith for the win. What do you think about Tony Pollard? Did they get 3 rushing touchdowns last week, the Cowboys?
Yeah, they did.
Three different guys got rushing touchdowns.
Feel real confident about Pollard. Like most owners are going to be impatient with him and either just not get to a spot where they have a winning record. And so I think he's a buy low right now. If I didn't have him, I'd be trying to get him. I think that he continues to get touches every week. And by the end of the season, he will get, with the soft schedule, people will be surprised that Tony Pollard will help significant teams across this nation lead into fantasy playoff victories. I'm not worried about him. They've not gone away from him, and he was going to be just fine. He was stopped at the 1 yard line twice this week. He will get better as the season goes along. It's just the thing is, most teams who drafted Pollard that early will not have a chance to be in the playoffs. But some dynasty leagues with a good solid core are going to be really happy to have Tony Pollard. So not worried at all.
His playoff schedule is really nice.
Pretty prime
really nice.
Playoff schedule for sure. So
no game of the week this week. Nobody deserved it.
Nope.
So good thing we had 2 last week.
That's exactly right. There was nothing stood out. Thanks for watching the show, Aaron. Thanks for all your prep and preparation. Can't wait to see the magic happen live and in person on December 5th. Mark it on your calendars, guys.
What a treat.
Have a good week. This week, I believe we're getting close to having a Thanksgiving break here pretty soon. So we'll have to figure out next week's show. Are you going to be in town for Thanksgiving?
I'm working Thanksgiving. So,
you're working Thanksgiving. Okay. Happen to be out of town next Tuesday. So we may have to talk about what to do with the show. May have to take a week break. Our only solo show that I recorded by myself has the least amount of views of any of our shows the last 2 years. So I find that telling.
I wouldn't read anything personal into that, Jason.
No, I find that pretty telling.
I'm sure that doesn't mean anything.
So we may have to talk about that because I don't think my wife would appreciate me getting away for an hour and say, "Hey, hon, it's Tuesday. I got to record the show." So we may have to talk about that off the air. But thanks for watching this far. Appreciate it, guys. See you, Aaron.
Cool. Good job.